Hello, hello, and we are live. Hello, I'm your old buddy Pizzal, and tonight I'm hanging out with the director and a couple of cast members from the upcoming Friday the 13th fan film Mythos, or as I like to call it, Mythos, because I think that makes me sound really pretentious. Mythos, a Friday the 13th fan film.
That's what Vincente called it the entire time on set.
Mythos, there you go. There you go.
Those.
Well, let me go ahead and introduce the panel here to everybody. I've got the writer-director of the film, Jeremy Brown. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you very much.
And I've got the the man behind the mask in Mythos, Jason Brooks. What's up, man?
How's it going?
And I've got one of the cast members of the film here as well, Mr. Brandon Wilson. And if he looks familiar, there's a lot of people out there going, where do I know this guy from? I'm sure. And there's a reason for that, because Brandon was the inspiration for Bugsy from Friday the 13th, the game. So how you doing, Brandon? Thanks for joining me, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure, guys. The very first question that came to my mind when I heard about Mythos, of Friday the 13th fan film, and it's probably a question that a lot of horror fans and Friday the 13th fans have had, is, it seems like in the wake of Never Hike Alone, there's just a deluge of fan films out there. What sets Mythos apart from all the other Friday the 13th fan films that are trying to get funded or are being funded and are going to be released soon? What sets Mythos apart, Jeremy?
Well, I think ultimately with Mythos, it's a lot of these fan films. I appreciate that they do something kind of just off the books, if you will, that doesn't really kind of follow the franchise or anything. It's more, this is our own telling. What we try to do is find a way to actually do a continuation of part 6. Part 6 is the one I really loved. And it was like, well, why can't we see what happened to Tommy and Megan, and what happened with that? And 30 years later, he's an alcoholic. She divorced him. They have a daughter who thinks he's full of shit. It's just, for me, Mythos is this, it feels more real, because it's like people do live on after Jason.
Okay. Okay. Cool. That makes sense. Jason, what do you think sets Mythos apart from all the other Friday the 13th fan films are out there?
What I really like is how it ties into all the original movies. Kind of explain why it looks different in every movie, and just the connection points to all the ones that we've seen. And so there's something familiar about it, but also something really very new.
Okay.
And I get to be Jason. I mean,
yeah, you've got the best job out of everybody. You get to be Jason, man. So how freaking cool is that?
Way cool.
Brandon, what do you think sets Mythos apart from all the other Friday the 13th fan films out there?
Obviously, because I'm in it.
That's the best answer right there. That's all you need to know. That should be on the poster. Brandon Bugsy Wilson is in this. See ya.
The YouTube conspiracies can stop.
There you go. There you go. Well, why don't you take us back to the inception of Mythos, Jeremy? Where did the idea to make your own fan film come from? How long has this idea been percolating in your noggin?
Well, I've been obviously a fan for my whole youth, and growing up with Friday the 13th, and it's kind of like what Vincent was talking about before. Like, you always dream of being able to do something like that, and then you don't realize that you can actually do it. So I always had kind of this idea of there's going to be some cool way that I can really tell a story. Like, why does he always leave somebody alive? And I kept thinking that every time I watched the film, like, these people are terrible at running and they're terrible at hiding. How is one person getting away from this badass, unstoppable killing machine? And it just started to click in my head. It's like, maybe it's kind of like that old pirate's tale. Like he always lets somebody live, so it kind of perpetuates the story a little bit. So people try to stay away from Camp Crystal Lake, but everybody knows the story, the campfire story that we've seen a million times. So I guess when I was conceiving it, it was just like that's where it came from. Like I didn't understand as a kid why he couldn't kill everyone. Like, why can't you kill everyone? Kill everyone.
or why is it the like the little skinny girl that gets away? It's always she somehow, it's that purity, it's that virginity. You know what I mean? It's powerful,
Right?
It's a power. So, at what point did you decide, okay, I'm going to sit down and I want to make this as a fan film?
Well, I think the ultimate point is I was actually at Crypticon in Seattle in 2016, and I got Matthews. I was, I'm like fanboying about that and just freaking out. And I told him I kind of had an idea for Friday the 13th if he'd be interested in taking a peek. And my original script was called Friday the 13th Vengeance. And it was going to be the story about, Jason just doing his normal thing. It was just a really basic story. And I was like, you know what? Why am I doing that? I had a better idea and I should stick with it. So, yeah, I started playing around with that. Tom got me excited about it. And then Vincent came out with Never Hike Alone. I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm doing it. I've done enough films at this point. I'm like, why not pay homage to the greatest, horror series of all time? At least in my opinion.
When you reached out to Vincente or Vin, I like to call him the full name Vincente. I just think it sounds,
Sounds very
Italiano. You know what I mean?
Hey, if I call my film MYTHOS, I get to call him Vincente.
There you go. When you reached out to him, what was the reaction from Vincente?
He was very awesome about it. He just was like, yeah, man, here's what I did, here's what went wrong with me, but here's what went right. Here's some things you want to avoid. He was very supportive and very cool about it. I wasn't expecting that. I thought he'd have this big ego, like, oh man, I'm so busy with my film, shut up. But he was very supportive. And then when we finally got to a point that we're ready to start, producing it, I asked him if he wanted to be a part of it. He was like, hell yeah, man. And to kind of break the ice, we flew him in, and he shot another little film with us called Imagine. And it was just this little 3-minute short that we did. But we won 2 awards in the same day with the film on our film festivals, and Vince, from there, we've just been friends from then. So, yeah.
Have we, Jeremy?
Speak of the devil. Speak of the devil.
Oh.
And he shall appear.
Oh, boy.
Hey guys,
how's it going, buddy?
Doing well. I'm all packed for Mad Monster. I'm ready to go.
Cool.
Marathon.
Cool.
Arizona.
Heck yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
We were just talking about the inception of we were talking about how lucky they were to get Brandon in the film. And how the biggest selling point for MYTHOS is Brandon Bugsy Wilson. So
I would agree more.
Gotta love Bugsy. But I saw you there. You're here, right, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm right there. What's going on?
Up, man?
What's up?
Yeah.
But we were just talking about the inception of the movie and when he reached out to you for advice, and you know what I mean. And that's kind of where you jumped in. It was the perfect timing for you to jump in. Why don't you? Now, yeah. Now I know, Vin, that you've had a number of people who are producing fan films reach out to you asking for advice, guidance, help. What was it about MYTHOS that sparked your interest to want to get involved with the project?
Well, I mean, I think it was Jeremy. I mean, he, pitched me and we were talking over the summer and he kind of went along the journey of Never Hike Alone with me for a little bit because we started talking early. And Jeremy was one of the first people to ever reach out to me and kind of in a similar way of like Renee Rivas, who's doing The Spirit of Haddonfield. It was just somebody who had saw what I was doing and was like, dude, I want to do that too, or I'm doing it too. Like, what are you doing? How are you? Kind of, what are the good experiences of this? And I've kind of been like, well, let me actually tell you about all the bad experiences and let me show you how to let's skirt over some of this. Let's go this the best way possible. And like, I kind of would tell him about like what was going on in our production and, all the type of stuff. So I think when he started to go into his, I could tell he was serious about it. And he was ready to face the challenges of someone who needed to go and put together their own, high budget looking fan film. And so, Jeremy's put in the work, and I think anyone who's willing to put in the work deserves a chance. And, Jeremy's got a really cool little vision for this film. So I was like, you know what, this is like a really cool theory and there's a lot you can play with this. And a love for the characters. And then, he's done stuff like added Bugsy and Jason Brooks, who's in that room, who's an amazing Jason. One of the things Jeremy, I think, does best is scout talent. He's got a very talented crew, and that's a big part of, making a fan film. So I saw when he was able to surround himself, with people who could help him execute his vision. I was like, I would love to help out in any way I can. And we've just been, collabing ever since.
That's awesome. Now, when we talked back in the day, Vin, even before Never Hike Alone came out, I asked you all kinds of questions about, so how do you do a fan film without stepping on anybody's toes? And especially these days with this litigation, it seems like those toes are more sensitive than normal, to the point where I remember you said, I didn't want, I didn't want even the mask to resemble a mask from any of the other movies. With Mythos, the part 6 inspiration is definitely there. Jeremy, was there did you have to speak to anybody to get any kind of clearance as far as the mask or the look of Jason in the film or anything to that respect?
Well, it's kind of weird. We actually got invited to kind of the Ilphonic Gun Media event where they were doing a Friday the 13th backer party. And we got to meet like some of the bigger alumni that I've never gotten a chance to meet. You got Tom Savini, Harry Manfredini, Sean Cunningham, and it was an open bar, so I was very open about talking to all these legends, and I finally found my voice, and all of them seemed very receptive to the idea. They really liked kind of the pitch, and none of them were like being like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that." Nothing like that. They were encouraging and kind about it. So I felt like with that kind of blessing, I was going to take a chance, and so far everything's been great. People have been really supportive. Yeah, that's kind of why we went forward with it.
Okay. Well, cool. Brandon, how did you get involved in Mythos?
You got me drunk. Really drunk.
That was it? Just got you drunk.
And Jeremy has soft hands. He's a nice person.
That's how he got such a great cast. Those soft hands.
Those hands got around.
No, because he actually came back into the hotel room, and I'm not joking.
Well,
that's
really
pretty much it.
Well, that's really cool. And of course, as I said in the beginning, I mean, a lot of people know you from the game, from being the archetype for Bugsy. How did you tell people the story of how you got to be your own character in Friday the 13th, the game?
I was also drunk. Again. And I don't remember if 100% if someone sent me a Kickstarter package or something like that, or I just came across it randomly. I mean, I was like, I probably spend this on something else. And I was like, let me try this. And then years later, I'm in the game.
Now, I believe I know the amount that you had to back to get your own character. I won't say it publicly, but that was no small amount, my friend. So, but you're immortalized, and like I said, you're my favorite, character to troll Jason with. So,
If it's any prize, I play with myself often in the game.
I have played with Brandon on the game. We had a lot of fun.
That would blow some people's minds. I think you'd be like, well, you're playing with Bugsy. Oh, I know. No. You're really playing with Bugsy. So
yeah,
that was like the time I was playing with Larry Zerner with Peter Brackey, and I was playing as Shelley. But it's like, holy crap, this is unreal. This is like some Inception stuff here. But yeah, very cool, very cool. Jason, what's it like playing Jason Voorhees, and what did you want to bring to that character that that's new or fresh or different from all the other guys who've played Jason?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, I've done some Jason acting in the past at some haunted houses and things and some conventions. And then when I heard about this, I auditioned for it, got it, and was ecstatic because, I mean, being Jason in a film, especially one of this caliber, was, what else can you ask for, right? But to get ready, yeah, I spent so much time. I talked to Jeremy, like, what kind of Jason do you want? And he told me, I want Kane Hodder, CJ Graham. We're doing part 6, so I spent 20 plus hours just watching behind the scenes, watching interviews with these actors, trying to get in their heads to not just to like mimic their movements, but to also like what are they thinking when they move, and just try to really kind of embody that. And then I've got a little bit of my own thing in there too, just because it's hard to not. But for the most part, it's a lot of CJ with some Kane aggression once in a while.
And you'll notice a little touch of Ted White too.
A touch of the white.
Yes.
What was it about? What particularly did you try to bring to it that was the Brooks touch?
I think it's the parts that I can't help. It's it's just kind of what comes out. It's my own body language, my own movement. When I kind of get lost in the character for a moment, and I'm not thinking technically about movement. It's just, I've done it for a while, done it several times, and so that's just kind of the glue that brings the other pieces together.
Okay, cool. Well, let's kind of go back and let's talk about how your guys' love for the series developed. Jeremy, do you remember how you got into Friday the 13th back in the day?
Oh yes, my dad was big into like Alice Cooper. He listened to all the stuff that would blow your mind, like King Diamond and like Alice Cooper and Pink Floyd, all that stuff. Even like Pantera stuff I never even heard of in my life. I mean, we all know Cowboys from Hell and all that stuff. He had like stuff called like Projects in the Jungle, and I'm like, what? What is this stuff? So, but part 6 was kind of a staple at the house because it had an Alice Cooper soundtrack to it. My dad loved it. I loved it. We watched it all the time. That's why I've got a hard on for part 6. So, and from there, I went back and I just visited everything. And then Tom Matthews was also in Return of the Living Dead, so I just became a big Tom Matthews fanboy too. So, Return of the Living Dead to me is still one of the greatest zombie films. So, naturally, I just been kind of following him around. Friday the 13th around. I love horror so much. It's hard to just hit on any one point where it all just kind of took off for me. And I'm terrible at interviewing. So if I'm all over the place, don't judge me.
Fine. That's perfectly fine. What about you, Jason?
Well, having the name Jason growing up, of course, every Friday the 13th at school, that came up. So that's always kind of been a part of me, but I actually didn't watch the films until much later in life. And then when I did, I was a little bit nervous about watching them because I wasn't always into horror movies. But when I finally did, I was kind of like, oh, this isn't so bad. It's kind of fun. And then again, and then I had a friend who took me out to the theater. We watched a couple of them in the theater when they came out. and just had a blast on opening night. The energy in there and stuff. So it really made that exciting.
Well, tell them what your first one was.
My first one.
Yeah, your first Friday.
I think it was 6.
See?
So
That's where you start. That's the primer.
that's where you start. Yeah, the ridiculousness of digging that asshole up and trying to make sure he's dead, and then the paintball is,
No better way to make sure he's dead than to dig him up
Kill him again.
and and drive a lightning rod into his heart in the middle of a storm.
right?
Gotta-
With Horseshack.
Yeah, there you go. See, he gets it.
So, but yeah, it was funny. It was fun. So it was a good intro.
Yeah.
Now, Brandon, were you a big Friday the 13th fan prior to your involvement in the game and in Mythos?
Absolutely. I was actually a big horror fan in general, and Friday the 13th was definitely one of my favorites. It used to scare the hell out of me when I was little. I might be a little young on the young side here, but I used to have to watch it on commercialized television. So,
So you watched the edited versions.
yeah, we really did. With commercials. From 8 o'clock to 10, that was it. The news came on at 10 o'clock. But I do own the collection now myself, so no more edited versions.
There you go. Right on. Now, one question I've got to ask you, Bugsy. Have you ever thrown the line out there to a lady like, hey, I'm Bugsy?
That's like a triple entendre, so I can say yes.
Okay.
We forgot to mention they were drunk.
No.
Bugsy's just too suave, man. He's just too suave. And Vin, I probably asked you about your history with Friday the 13th during one of our other live chats, but please, reiterate.
Yeah, no, I'll keep it short. Just like these guys, I just kind of grew up watching them. I accidentally saw one when my dad was, I think, watching them with some of the older people in the house, and I just kind of caught like a part of part 7, I think, and the whole opening where it showed like all the films 1 through 7 in like a minute and a half. So I kind of just downloaded into my brain in like one sitting, and then I ran away because I got too scared. And then I started renting them when I would go to the VHS store. So I'd get one at a time, and I kind of started picking them out, not as much in order, but which ones had like the coolest covers. And yeah, Jason Lives had like the coolest cover with the mask and the gray. So I was like, oh, I'm going to start here. Started with that. Then started watching them all out of order, got really confused, and then finally started doing the thing where I would like literally, I mean, for weeks on end, I would just rent like 3 at a time. And then all of a sudden I put the puzzle together and like 1 through whatever it was by that time, 1 through 9. And I was just like, what is this? This is like amazing.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with the films ever then. And I've just been kind of like borderline obsessed with them.
Yeah. That's
I must
what
admit, the VHS covers were always awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's very true. Yeah. Part 7 was my intro, and it's such, like you said, Vin, that opening just kind of catches you up on all the movies, and it just being so hyped to watch that movie finally. It was What do you guys think? I mean, I may be biased because Friday the 13th is my favorite of the big franchises, but it really seems like to me that people are pining for another Friday the 13th. People aren't necessarily pining for another Nightmare or another Hellraiser or another Halloween. What is it about this series that makes fans so dedicated and adamant about it? Maybe even more so than Nightmare, Halloween, Chainsaw, Child's Play, yada yada yada.
Well, if I can step in here,
Please do.
I honestly think what it is like the counselors. In some way, we can all relate to one of those counselors. We're one of those counselors, and then the look of Jason and how brutal he is. I mean, there's something that's relatable, but also terrifying about the idea of somebody like that coming after us. And that's just my opinion. I could be way wrong. Go ahead.
No wrong opinions, Jeremy. It's an opinion is never fact. It's just what you feel. And like, if that's how you feel about the franchise, like, I think that's the best. I think, to me, the thing about the franchise is it's really cool is it's a lot of diversity. No two films are really alike totally. I mean, there's a lot that changes throughout them, and I think it creates kind of this mix mash like band of fans that all like the series for some different reason. You know, if you talk to fans, I mean, we're obviously all here kind of like ganging up on Jason Lives, but you know, a lot of people love, you know, Final Chapter, they love the original, or they, you know, there's people who love Jason Goes to Hell. It's like some film has something to offer every different fan, and I think the variety of what comes with Friday the 13th is part of what kind of gets it out of its shell, because the backstory is so simple and so confusing and never done the same way twice. It's just kind of like you can go anywhere you want with the films, and I think fans have always like, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of fan films right now, and I think that like it was part of why I did it. I know it's why Jeremy's doing it. It's like the series has never really answered for itself story wise, so it's fun to theorize about what, you know, what it could be, and that's why you keep getting all these different films and different styles. And I think that that's kind of what has made it so interesting of a franchise, is the fact that like it's never the same thing twice.
Yeah. What do you think, Jason?
I think it's just fun. I think, you know, when you go in, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a bunch of people making stupid decisions, doing a lot of sinning, and getting a lot of dead. You know, he's going to come out and kill you, and I mean, you just know what to expect. So it's the same rinse and repeat: sex, drugs, violence, and some humor in the middle. And I think it's
And Crispy Glover dancing. That's why I keep going back.
There were horror films that didn't take themselves so seriously. You know, there was something kind of really fun about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think, Brandon?
It's about, I think also it's where can they go next to keep it refreshing? You know, times have changed, and you know, different skill sets have changed in how movies are developed. Like, where can they take it next? Not talking about Jason next, but just where can they take it next? Because he already been to where, you know, but no one can hear you scream apparently. But I'm curious to see just how the franchise continues to live, and it gets reborn in a new generation's mind.
Yeah.
Also to make it scary. You know, we're getting a little numb to a lot of horror movies. You know, that Friday 13th was pretty darn scary in the beginning. Got a little campier, but then how can it be back to be a real thriller or something, you know, updated? So I think people look forward to just a new scare.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, let me turn the tables. I'm going to turn the tables on you, Pizzawell.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you two questions, because what do you think that the part 13 should be? Who should it cater to? And secondly, by the way, tomorrow is his birthday, so let's all give him a little bit of birthday love tonight too. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Thank you. Yes, it is my birthday tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah. I think for part 13 they have to do some. I think they have to do something with Tommy. Tommy, I think the fact that they kind of have gone away from him. Yeah, Tommy was really the only sort of. He's sort of Jason's ultimate, nemesis. Exactly.
He's a Laurie Strode.
Exactly. And they had those 3 movies together, and I mean, I think part 6 was a nice kind of bookend, because he returned him to Jason's final resting place. But I think the idea of catching up with an older Tommy, and him discovering that, maybe Jason's back, it's my duty to put him down again. And I think that would be the perfect way to do it. I think it could pay fan service, which is has the Friday the 13th series ever? Well, they did a little fan service, I think, in like Jason X, but a little bit of fan service with the series, and showing some appreciation to the fans would be cool. But then to just make a really kick-ass Friday the 13th movie, And when I say fan service in Jason X, I mean when Uber Jason walks into he goes back in not Chris, Camp Chris, yes, the holodeck, Camp Crystal Lake, circa 1980. That was fun. That was cool.
That was awesome.
That was the greatest hits with the sleeping bag. Like, the thing that, like, for Jason X, it knows what it is. I think that's its only saving grace is that I don't think at any moment they were like, we're making a serious space film. I mean, if you just saw the CG graphics in that film, you knew that somebody was just like, fucking dude. Yeah. Let's just do this. And isn't it true that film sat on the shelf for like 2 years?
It sat by the time that movie finally hit theaters, the people who really wanted to see it had already seen it because it had been bootlegged everywhere. Mm-hmm. So that's why it was such a monumental flop.
I the crazy thing about it was sitting for 2 years. Some of our friends have seen it before I had, and I thought they were lying to me. Behemoth was lying to me. Like, no, calling line by line. And then when I finally saw it, I was like, wow, this wasn't a fever dream. This is a real movie.
This is a real movie. That's so funny.
Let me mention to everybody who's watching out there, if you have any questions for Jeremy, for Jason, for Vin, for Bugsy, go ahead and post those in the chat. Let me give some shout outs to some viewers. My buddy Jewel, Voorhees Chasing Ghosts, all the way up in Canada. How you doing, buddy? Joe Caraluzzo, DJ Donnelly from way across the pond is with us tonight. Lauren Dixon, Tyler Cole, my old buddy Rocky Voorhees, Mike Pope, Kevin, Lucas Tout, Dale Whittington. Hope you guys are all having a good Wednesday night.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us.
There you go. Yeah. Let's see. What am somebody had a nice question here. Well, not really a question, but Lauren Dixon said reliability has been the key to Friday's culture of success. For a decade of my youth, you could always rely on Jason every summer with a few exceptions. The gap since the Paramount era has created a real yearning for more installments.
Agreed.
I agree.
And I
think that's why we're all out here.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that's the saving grace of, fan films is we all feel like you do. We miss it. We want it back. That was part of our growing up. It's what we love. I mean, there's not a single person who makes a fan film going, God, I'm going to get rich and popular off this. Mm-hmm. Not a single person thinks that. We're all just, God, I hope people like this because it's what we love. It's what we grew up with. And they get a little bit of excitement from it. Then our job is done.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the reason why there are so many different fan films, particularly for Friday the 13th, is because that's the only way we can seem to get a movie made. And I think with, Never Hike Alone, that movie really sort of redefined what a fan film could be and what a fan film could do. It's not just a bunch of guys in the backyard with a camcorder and, it looks like crap, but you know what I mean? It can be an actual good movie.
What was the movie? I'm kidding.
So I think that
Never Camp by Yourself.
There you go. But I think that's inspired a lot of people to be like, well, he was a fan that made this movie that was really good, and he's clearly, maybe I can do the same thing if I raise enough money, if my heart's in the right place, if you know what I mean. So I think that's really cool. And, and I hope that, God willing, whenever this litigation is over and we do get a new Friday the 13th, whoever's making that film will, it seems like the fans have not been in the forefront of the people who are making or who are in charge of producing those movies for a while. Maybe the fans will move up a notch on the priority scale.
I would definitely like to see that. And I would definitely say that, I have to humble myself here a little bit, but I would like to have Vincente kind of represent us as fans if they do finally clear the legal rights, because he gets it. He's most qualified. Yeah, we're doing our film and all that stuff, but I absolutely believe in what Vinny's doing, and he's going to fight for it, fight harder than anybody probably. So,
Well,
I appreciate that, Jeremy.
and it may come down to who's got the softest hands.
Jeremy, get up there. Come on. Come on. What are you doing?
Bad boys.
Get into those back offices. No, I mean, I mean, when it comes to this stuff, I do think that I think they really do need to listen to the fans, because there are a lot. I mean, I've been talking to fans, not as director of Never Hike Alone, but as a fan for over a decade online. I mean, we've all met in forums. I mean, that's where Friday the 13th lived, in between, Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X and Freddy versus Jason and 2009. The fans gathered and really built a big community online, and it was always fun to go and talk about Friday the 13th. And there were a lot of fans who saw the franchise differently than I did. And I always thought that was crazy. So it's been really cool over the years, talking to a lot of fans, hearing a lot of theories, and being able to see all the different directions that this franchise can go, and technically be right, because there's so much wiggle room with all the stuff that's kind of left behind. But, I think that at the end of the day, you do have to go back and talk to the fans and say, what do you want to see? And there's obviously a fan base here. The fan base shows up anytime anything comes out. We saw that with the game. We saw that with Never Hike Alone. We saw that, we're seeing that with the new fan films that are coming out too. I mean, fans are not only backing them, but running off and creating their own at all different levels. And so it's like, what Jeremy's decided to tackle is like it's a really big challenge. And that's why he needs people's support, because he's going after kind of the same thing that we wanted to do. Is like, this is like some of the stuff he's always wanted to see in a Friday the 13th film. And he's going after the things that are going to allow him now, with today's technology, to, execute those things where we couldn't do that, 15 years ago. You couldn't go out and have, red cinema cameras were not affordable, or nor was the digital age of film ready for the consumer market. But now, if you know what you're doing, and his DP Dustin is, a fantastic cameraman and, director of photography, you can make cinematic films as long as you have a story. And it's just, I think the story for Friday the 13th always comes out of passion, and people who have passion for it, whether, if they call me, great. I know exactly what I want to pitch, and Pizal, you'll really love it if that's what you want to see. I got other ideas, but at the end of the day, it's, I think that I could also offer as a fan, being like, maybe these are the types of directors you should go after. Maybe these are the types of stories you should pursue. This is a yay and this is a nay. Don't do this with Jason, but do this with Jason. And I think that I can really, from my standpoint, when I offer advice, is say, well, you would be stepping outside the character's range, or, things that, like, I've noticed from, like, watching all the films, what fans have gravitated towards and what they've gravitated against. And so that's why Never Hike Alone became kind of like this bottled up version of Friday the 13th, where you recognized a lot of elements, but there were a lot of elements missing, but you didn't miss them, type thing. And that's the key with Friday the 13th, is slimming it down so it's back to the basics. And, you can kiss some things in there for the real hardcore fans, but if you try to hang your hat on the whole film that way, or you try to rewrite the entire history, then it's just, that's not what the fans want to see. I think fans, like you said, want to see a continuation of a story. They want to see the story continue on from the past, and I think that's what they should get.
Mm. Well, and I'm sure the new Halloween film, which is kind of following that path, there's no doubt in my mind that movie is not going to be an enormous success when it comes out. That will certainly, and not, I'm sure, the execs will go, okay, so they want more reboots. Let's just reboot everything again for the 10th time. It's not a reboot. It's an alternate.
They're like ripping out chapters and sticking in new pages. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's not a reboot. It's not a remake. It's, exactly, just like you said, it's a continuation of part one. It ignores the others, but it's a continuation.
Just take everything you know about the franchise, put it in a blender, then put it through a filter, and take the best bits out and leave the chunky bits off to the side. It's like, anytime there's something weird, like if, things like, for example, in part 8, Jason as a boy not being deformed with hair, being there at the end as like he melted into a boy, things like that. I don't think fans want to see that. Yeah. And you know,
Ben,
Yo.
I'm sorry, but have you ever stepped in New York City sludge? It will turn you into a boy.
it will Benjamin Button. Is that how you managed to stay pretty all these years, Bugsy? You're just loving slime. You're just out there.
Every now and then.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, every now and again, Bugsy disappears. Or he's like, "Where's Bugsy? He's down in the sewer again, doing a sludge bath."
One thing I do think that fans are some fans I think overestimate the power of the formula too, because the formula was good. It worked in the 80s, but I honestly think that the formula has to evolve, and I think you can get I think we want to get more into the characters of Friday the 13th. There's just so many rich characters in the series. I don't see how they can't expunge off of what's already there, like you said, with the Blumhouse model, where they're going back to a point where they're like, we felt like the franchise went off in the wrong direction right here at the first sequel, so they're going all the way back to there. You know, before H2O went back to part 2, before that Rob Zombie rebooted it completely. And the thing is that as long as there are fans, you can repackage and reuse these characters in 1,000 different ways. Example, Godzilla. I mean, the thing has been reused and repurposed in 1,000 different ways from 1,000 different angles, and people keep showing up because he's the baddest ass kaiju on the earth. And I feel the same way about Jason. I feel like Jason can be repackaged and retold in 1,000 different stories that don't necessarily have to be canon. They just have to be entertaining. And it's fun to get canon stuff. It's fun to feel like we're in the original timeline, but that shouldn't stop us from, one day down the future getting that crazy ass like Leatherface versus Jason comic realized as some like YouTube short series. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like there's so many different avenues for Friday the 13th. And the theater's great. We want a big theater, but if the rights holders even thought about it for a second, we're like, the internet can be a place where all of these crazy stories that don't belong in the theater could go. I think that that's one other place they should really, really look at and start bringing some of these, graphic novels to life, start bringing some of these, fan films to life too. I think that they should go out and support fans and do that. There's lots of stuff. I think if they engage with the community, they'll get a lot back from it because we're all passionate about this franchise and we all have something to say about it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Very, very true. We're so passionate about this franchise that we will kill the writer of the original film. Because
no.
Because damn him. He's the one. It's him.
Poor Victor.
No, poor Victor Miller. Yeah.
Oh,
but we've had some love for Jason in the chat. TBR Video says actor playing Jason in this fan film is awesome. And then there was another one.
Hey, Todd, what's up?
Beth Jackson says Jason Brooks will be the best Jason. Wow.
I agree. He's really good. He's a really good Jason.
Cool.
And he puts out on the first day.
Yeah.
Lauren Dixon says Never Hike Alone is, as far as I'm concerned, canon. I said as much in my article on the Friday the 13th franchise website. So I
agree with that. And let me just add, and it drives Vinny crazy. I know. He's like, well, no, you go out and do your own thing. I'm like, yes, but if we're going canon here, we want to include Never Hike Alone in this. And I know it drives him crazy. He's sitting there right there now, shaking his head, and smiling. But that's the thing. I mean, I'm still Vinny. He can laugh all he wants, but we're still fans of his film too, and it's very much a part of our Friday the 13th love. So, and this is why, like you were talking about character. We need character development. And Bugsy can tell you about that. He was not expecting to have so many lines in the film.
Well, Bugsy,
all the lines.
Yeah, Bugsy, why don't you tell us about your character in Mythos?
Yeah.
Oh, man. For one, he's black.
Is he?
Really? Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm not sure though. Oh no.
Why didn't you tell me?
Huh? Well,
Why didn't you tell me?
I wanted to be a surprise.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. It's pretty much I play close to the stereotypes a little bit. It feels strong, but he's kind of like kind of harder on the inside, a little leery, and a smart ass. So I got a lot of good quips.
Yes.
And a bat.
And a bat. Cool.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and a bat. And a bat.
Okay. Okay.
How could I not give him a bat? Come on.
There you go. Gotta give him a bat. Gotta give him a bat for sure. Let's see what else is going on out in the chat. Rocky Voorhees, can Elias Voorhees ever be explored more, or Creighton Duke? I think I've seen some posts on social media that Adam Marcus is actually trying to make a Creighton Duke movie. Have you guys seen that or heard about that?
I've heard about it.
Yeah, he's wanting to make a Creighton Duke movie. I say go for it, only if it's revealed that Creighton Duke is the adult Reggie the Reckless.
I know, that's like a pipe dream right there. I would die if that was Reggie the Reckless.
Yeah, gotta be.
I'd have a whole new appreciation for that movie. I'd just be like, yeah, okay, whatever. Do whatever.
And the reveal is he pulls out a picture from his pocket, and a tear rolls down his face, and it's a picture of Demon.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a picture of an enchilada.
Or it's Demon with an enchilada like this. You know, he's like, yeah, it's the last one before he died.
Or it's a porta potty. Either way, you know.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
And he's looking at the picture, he's crying, and under his breath, you faintly hear, "Ooh, baby, ooh, baby."
He's like singing that as he's going like after Jason when they're like showing down. He's singing it to Jason. That would actually be really cool. That would be a really cool scene. I'd be like something that's justified right there.
That would be funny.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
Do you guys? I know that there's been so much said about this whole litigation between Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham, and it's brought up so much bad blood, and it's death threats, for real, you know, death threats. I think it shows how passionate the fan base is, how misguided the fan base can be sometimes in their passion. But you know, I mean, and you know, of course, you know, Bugsy, you're in the game. The game is like now officially done because of the whole litigation. Does anybody have anything that they want to add or anything that they'd like to say about the whole thing?
It's touchy.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
You really want to say something at this point?
It's touchy. I understand all points, and I personally have hope. You know, hopefully somewhere down the pipeline it returns. But from the legal standpoint, I definitely understand from where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you do like the motion capture stuff for Bugsy for all like the kills and that stuff for the game?
Oh, not at all. I just sent him my looks.
Okay.
They just used his pretty face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With some sludge condition.
Give him that sweet jacket.
Yeah.
Did they ever give you any props or anything, Bugsy? You know, I never actually asked you.
You said props?
Yeah, like, you know, like a jacket or a bat or something cool to kind of commemorate your.
I want an action figure.
Ooh.
Oh well, yeah, that'd be nice. I get to make myself a figure. That'd be awesome. No one gave me any props.
Well, we give you
They're all
props.
digital.
Great.
Oh, dude, was that a setup? Was that all a setup?
You know how I work, Vinny.
Did they
that one.
did they at least give you the game for free? Did you at least get the game for free?
Oh, yeah, I got the game for free. Yes.
Okay.
If
I
I
got the game for
his
free.
friends.
Well, technically, you got it because you also donated.
Yes, it's true.
That was part of
So
your
I
prize.
kind of paid for
Did
it.
they give you an extra one?
I paid for a bunch of them.
Yeah.
You paid for
But
quite
hey, I mean, his signature is on some of them. I mean, he's a part.
Yeah.
That's a cool group to be a part of, man.
Absolutely. I get to be part of the Friday 13th lore, so that was priceless.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I've actually got a question. My buddy DJ Donnelly wants to know. In the single player challenges, your character is in a wheelchair, but which story is true? The trampoline accident or crashing into the rocks?
You know, that's actually pretty funny. Because I have actual some scars in real life, and I change the story all the time. So that's actually pretty funny. But none of those stories is true.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. And also in those single player challenges, there are moments where Bugsy will stand up from the wheelchair and just stand for a second. It's like, okay, is this all just?
Yeah, he was just trying to get laid.
That's what I'm thinking. He's just trying to get chicks. You know what I mean?
That was it. He was pretending.
That's a good question though, DJ. That's a good question. The trampoline accident or the crashing into the rocks? It worked for Mark.
Almost did.
Almost, yes.
Almost.
Before he took that ride down the stairs.
Then now in the game, Bugsy takes that ride down the stairs.
Yeah. That's got to be really cool because that's definitely one of the most iconic moments in the entire franchise. It's one of the scenes that always freaked me out. Like Jason was willing to kill a dude in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that was grimy.
Rocky Voorhees would like to know, what is your least favorite Friday film and least favorite portrayal of Jason? Does anybody want to?
Jason Goes to Hell.
Okay.
Both. All the above.
God, let me think. The worst one, I don't know. It might be the remake for me as a movie. I think Derek Mears did a great job, and worst Jason would probably be, I would say, just the way he's portrayed in Freddy vs. Jason. I won't say Ken. I'll just say the way that he.
That's
because Ken also stood in for part 8 too and did a good job. So it was definitely the direction of Freddy vs. Jason.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. That and it was totally wrong to you just saying, be Frankenstein. You know, Frankenstein. I can hear Frankenstein. Be stiff. You know, just be stiff. That's my horrible Asian accent.
Yeah, it's the design and everything. It's just
yeah. It's like all I want is a big, tall guy who just is really stiff. That's all I want. Because that's nice. That is Jason. Well, yeah. That's it.
So now we know what you got to get.
Now you want to give me my birthday tomorrow. Ken Kersinger, call me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just wanted a Frankenstein, and that's not who Jason is. Jason's not Frankenstein. But yeah, that portrayal of Jason's really bad, and I don't blame that on Ken Kersinger. That's totally, what's his name? Wang Chung. Gosh, what's his name? Ronnie Yu.
Yeah, that movie.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Cool story, but I just don't like the way it's
but Part 5 kills me every time. I hate everything about it. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. You don't hate Demon. You don't hate Reggie.
You don't hate Demon and Reggie. You don't hate Ethel and June.
Ethel.
You know what I mean, Vince. Sorry.
That guy's awesome too. That movie is full of so many stupid, awesome characters. Vinny getting the thing in his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Roy Burns. I mean, now, yeah, it was definitely the cheapest of the first 5. Like all that same production value. That one was definitely super cheap.
Yeah.
You can actually see the cut. Like if you watch the beginning when Jason like stabs the guy in the stomach on the side of the gravesite, you can see that the machete is like cut in half.
Yeah.
It's like fairly obvious. Like
but Danny Steinman, in his defense, he knew what to focus on with perfect, beautiful clarity, and God bless him for that. He was like, "Who cares? This broken in half thing."
The characters are just so over the top.
They are.
That's what kills the film. Is they're like cartoon characters. They're not real people.
The characters are
Way over the top.
Yeah, characters are crazy. Just I love the just pitch black humor in that movie.
Yeah.
The
sheriff and the mayor are like the worst.
Yeah.
What are you doing? He's smoking the cigar and he's like, "It's your Jason." Another big continuity thing because they say Jason got cremated and then he never did.
Of course, no.
I hate 9. 9 is the worst for me. And then the remake Jason I don't like, just because I don't think he would kidnap a person.
Right.
Kidnapping not in his, I don't know. That's just too.
Yeah, I liked Derek Mears as Jason in the remake, but I don't. That was not Jason to me. The underground labyrinth, the hunter trapper Jason.
Sitting down and sharpening a machete just seemed just
Yeah, that's so Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That is Texas Chainsaw Massacre right there. I mean, they kidnap people, they hold people, like they have the underground layers and are, popping up all over that. Jason is so much more simple and, so simple. It's just so simple.
Yeah.
It's his brutality, which is what makes Jason. And that was just like, oh, she looks like my mom from Milwaukee. I'm going to preserve her and keep her down here. For what purpose?
Yeah, no. And then I don't know.
But he's gonna leave his real mom up in a hole in the wall.
Right.
Upstairs. Ma, get out of my room. I'm down here with my girlfriend. Leave me alone.
Trying to clean my toilet.
Well, where does Mythos stand as far as the Kickstarter is concerned right now? How's it? How's the fan funding, crowdfunding? How's that coming
along? A little bit. Obviously, we got quite a ways to go. We got about 18 days left, and we're still needing a little help. But we're not giving up. I mean, whatever proceeds we get from this, we're going to put in towards the film and do everything we can to get the backer rewards and all that stuff done, and then keep going forward. I mean,
life finds a way.
If people gave up the first time, then what's the point?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where can people go to learn more about Mythos?
Well, we have our brownspacefilms.com, which is our website. It has Mythos and all the other films we've done. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. You can find us under Brown Space Films on all of those. So, and on Facebook, you can find us under Mythos. So Mythos, the Facebook page, the fan page.
And you can find us on Indiegogo if you search for Mythos.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you guys were talking Kickstarter. I was like, no, say Indiegogo.
Yeah.
I'll put links to everything Mythos in the description. So if you guys want to contribute, check out the trailers because the trailers are great. The first trailer really hooked me because it really seemed like they're taking the mythos, for lack of a better word, in a really interesting direction with Jason and this whole kind of urban legend kind of feel to it that is really cool, I think. And then like the second trailer is just like, okay, here's all the blood and gore, and so it's a thinking man's horror movie, but when we want to get brutal and bloody and gory, we've got ample amounts of that too. So check out both trailers. Indiegogo, search for Mythos or follow the link in the description. Mythos on Facebook, on Instagram. Are you guys on Twitter too?
Yep.
Okay. All over social media. Definitely check out the trailers and consider pitching in to help Mythos become reality.
Yes.
And Lauren, Lauren, you say that Jason X Jason kills an entire space station. That's true. But don't forget all those poor souls that were left to drown on the ship in part 8. Everybody got out, and they left like the entire senior class, all the chaperones, whoever was left alive on that ship, all just left them to die.
He's not wrong.
So that's a pretty massive body count there. Somebody one time said, I don't count them in the body count. And I said, but their parents and loved ones probably count them. So, yeah.
So I got a question. I'm gonna hit my cast crew up here. So what was your guys' experience like being on Mythos? I mean, you guys have any cool stories you want to share with people? And I'm sure Pizzola would love to hear some stories.
Very good question. Absolutely. Yes. Tell us all about what's going on behind the scenes and be as R-rated, NC-17 rated, X-rated as possible, please.
Indeed.
So it all starts with Jeremy sneaking into my tent on a Saturday. No, I'm just kidding.
He likes
soft hands.
I've got tons of cool stories. I've done, we've done filming in Idaho. We've done filming in Seattle. We've done multiple crews, multiple casts. The kill scenes that were in the last trailer were done in Seattle, and there were some kind of add-ons to the story so that we can kind of show some content without giving away plot points. And so a lot of that was really cool, just coming together. And also, I have a solid, strong memory of being in Idaho. And when you're in all that makeup and you're in the mask and costume, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you know everything's going on, you don't really get to see yourself perform. You don't know what you look like. You kind of move, and you think you know what you look like when you move. But I remember Vince kind of coming up during that filming and saying, "Hey, you know what? Let's move this way, or try doing this and stuff," and helping me out there. I thought, how cool is that to have Vince from Never Hike Alone, who played Jason there, kind of helping me and coaching me on this to get me to look right. Because I mean, I see some of the footage later on some of the shots, and I think, I wish I moved differently there. I'm very critical of it. Wish that I changed it or did it. But when you're in the costume, you don't get to see what that physically looks like. And I know Vince probably has experience of that too, being in the costume and directing. It's like you can watch it later and say, no, like your story about the collar being popped, or different things like that, where you move and you're like, that's not how Jason does it. But in your body, it feels right. So having Vince there, kind of being a Jason coach on set, it was a really cool memory for me. And then also the first day showing up, meeting Bugsy, meeting Vince, meeting all the other cast and crew, just like all these people who are stars in their own right for their own thing, Veronica and Diana, and then Crystal, you know, it's awesome. And then getting like a whole bunch of new friends, just like bam, suddenly all these new people are coming and contacting me. There's a guy, David Darden, who's contacting me a lot. We're good friends now, talking a lot, and it's just, there's some really cool, I don't know, the whole experience has been really cool. So on and off set. Anyway.
Yeah. What about you, Bugsy? Any cool behind the scenes stuff? Anything that you could get in trouble for?
No, I can think of. I mean, one thing I did enjoy was the campfire scene that we did, and I thought the lighting and everything was perfect, and a lot of the behind the scenes talk was a lot of fun, and especially Jason over there with a smartphone taking pictures. It's kind of surreal when you're trying to dodge fire and then you see Jason in a distance with a smartphone catching sneak pics. It was pretty fun. That's one of my favorite moments, though.
I always love to get pictures and selfies, like in costume with all the actors and crew. I was trying to get everyone, so I don't know, I love it.
Well, what's it like being on, out in the wilderness, being chased by a guy dressed as Jason?
It's almost erotic.
Wow.
Choke me, Jason.
You find yourself wanting to run to him and not away from him. There's that internal struggle,
You almost want to give him a beer.
There you go. Maybe that's all he wants. Just give him a.
That would be a great twist in a Friday the 13th.
Right?
You're just like, whoa, it's Jason. Dude, you want a beer? Come on, sit by the fire with us. And he just kind of hangs out, just kind of like one of the bros.
One time.
Then you hear like his mom call for him, and he has to like drop the beer and run away.
Yeah.
Well, mom head floats out. What are you doing, Jason? He just like turns around and like just starts hacking people. He's like, I'm totally killing him.
Get in the business.
Now, Vin, you've had the opportunity to play Jason in Never Hike Alone, and you're also playing Michael Myers in The Spirit of Haddonfield. Yeah. What's that experience like? And how do you approach playing each one? How to make them unique?
Well, just to jump on something that Jason said real quick, and it kind of relates to this answer. It's like playing Myers was really awesome because it was kind of the first time after doing Never Hike Alone where I was sharing duties and directing while I was in costume and kind of running around and doing a bunch of stuff. And then when I got to do Haddonfield, all I had to do was be in the costume. Everything I did from a production standpoint had been kind of set up prior to shooting. And on the day of shooting, all I had to be was Michael. And so that for me was a really fun experience, just to be in that headspace all day, concentrating on a character, analyzing my moves, practicing, walking up and down the sidewalks, and just trying to get a cadence to make sure that Michael felt right on screen when he moved. And, you know, there were certain things that, like, you know, Jason is, you know, is kind of as like a freight train in a way, in the way he moves. He's big, he's heavy, he's got a lot of weight. And on the other side, Michael is almost weightless. And he almost, like, he kind of moves at this very even pace. And it's this kind of ticking time bomb that kind of comes right up to the last moment. And then when you're right there in striking distance, he comes in and attacks and can be a little bit quicker. So I think that that's one thing that Renee did well, was setting up those moments where we can show off both sides of Michael. But jumping back to what Jason was saying, it was like when I got to come out and work with them on Mythos, I had a lot of fun working with Jason because I didn't have to even worry about directing the film. It was just literally being the guy I wish I could have done when I was on Never Hike Alone, and like triplicated myself. One person behind the camera, one person in the costume, and one person just watching Jason on the costume in the frame, because it is so important, the posturing and the movement speed and all the little, you know, there's all these little nuances to playing a character. I mean, people think it's just, oh, throw on a, you know, a suit and a mask, get out there and just, you know, swing big. And it's so much more than that. And I think anyone who, you know, takes cosplaying seriously, or, you know, like Jason, he does, you know, haunts, and he has to go out there and perform as Jason in front of live audiences all the time. I think a lot of that ability came into his performance. They were very natural, and I really enjoyed watching him do it. And to be out there and just kind of give them that extra set of eyes where I'm like, wait a second, guys, like, remember Jason, we were trying to like level your head up. I'm like, wait a second, the mask is crooked.
Yeah.
This is why your head is never straight on camera. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, for like minutes, we're like trying to talk about my head. Like, he's like, no, put your head straight. And I'm like, my head is straight. And he's like, you want to move it like this? And it's like, my head's straight. It was the mask that was crooked.
And when you play Jason and then you direct Jason, you've done it for a while. It's almost like knowing how to like fix an old car. Like, you know, all the things that go wrong with it, all the secret little things that pop off and, you know, unplug, and, you know, so you have like, I had to create a checklist for myself on Never Hike Alone. It was like, are the straps like all the right way? Are they over the ears? Is the mask sitting below my chin? Is the collar down? Is the shirt this way? Is it fit this way? Is this down? That, you know, so it's kind of, I was able to do that for them, then allow Jeremy to go off, because he had, I mean, I kind of had it easy because I had Andrew and me. You know, Jeremy's got like a cast of, like, a real big cast. Yeah, so there's a lot of people out there. So having, I think, you know, and I think that's the service I was able to provide, was like that extra set of hands, that extra set of eyes, because this was such an intricate and, you know, complex production. You know, it's nice to have, you know, it's just nice when there's people in the wings that can help you, you know, keep the plate spinning across the board. And so, yeah, that was like my favorite experience of it. But yeah, I mean, going back to Myers, it was a ton of fun. And I think that, you know, that's the one thing I was worried about too. Like Jason said, like, when Renee was cutting and I was, you know, waiting for the footage to come in, I'm like, oh, please just don't let me ruin this. Please don't let me ruin this movie. I hope it is what I think it is. Yeah, you know, I finally got to see the footage and I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, we did it. Like, this is fun. I think fans are really going to dig it. You know, I think they found out this week it's like a 20-minute short. It's not Never Hike Alone. Never Hike Alone was a 53-minute, $40,000 funded fan film. Renee did this for absolutely no money. We just put together our group of resources and a small team, and we were able to bang this out in like 2 weekends. And I think that, yeah, it's not going to be, you know, grand scale stuff. It's not going to be like Mythos, which is also, you know, grand scale. It's going to be what fans like. I think it's a great sign of what fans can do when they say, like, well, I can't make Never Hike Alone because I don't have $40,000. I go, well, you don't have to. You can make The Spirit of Haddonfield, which is going to be a lot of fun and people are going to like it, but it doesn't have to have the super high budget effects either. So it's kind of showing, like, with Renee's vision, I hope that fans like can see that it can be done at a ton of levels, and it's how you execute and knowing your tools and executing within the box of your tools that makes you successful. I mean, that's why every $225 million film doesn't make $1 billion. Some of them make nothing. And sometimes a $5 million film like Get Out makes all the money in the world. So it shows you that it doesn't have to be, although it really helps and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I'm really jealous of Jeremy and those guys for all the stuff they've been molding and chopping in half and crushing, and I see blood flying everywhere, and I'm like, that wasn't Never Hike Alone's story, but that's another thing that fans have been missing. So I think if fans miss that stuff in Never Hike Alone, the fan films that are coming out now, I think, are really focusing a lot on that and coming up, like I said in the interview that I did for Jeremy's thing, they're coming up with really interesting kills. I mean, I was reading some of them on the page. I'm like, dude, are you serious? Like, you're going to pull this off? And, and then I watch them work and they have their creative way of pulling it off. And I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, fans are really going to dig this. So, yeah, that's the thing. I think that's why fan films need support. They're of all shapes and sizes. And I hope that people support Mythos. And then when Haddonfield comes out, I hope they see that, a tiny little film like that can make a lot of waves.
What would be even more sort of interesting to see, other than Jason with a smartphone taking pictures or texting, would be Jason actually behind the camera in full garb and mask directing.
I'm out there and
No, go stand over there. Stand over there. More blood.
Next time I come out, Jeremy, I'll bring my Ghost Jason costume.
Good. Do it.
And we'll just walk around. We'll do like a whole like side sitcom, My Two Jasons, which we kind of did at Crypticon this year. We had a great time at Seattle Crypticon. I dressed up, Jason dressed up, and it was a lot of fun taking pictures with people.
Well, if you look on my Facebook page, you can see me in the picture with the both of them.
Yeah, on the Instagram, it's everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, let's do one final appeal to everybody out there who may be on the fence about Mythos. Why should they donate to Mythos, a Friday the 13th fan film? Jeremy, this is your closing argument.
Okay, closing argument. Well, honestly, I think the most important thing that fans need to know is we're fans too. We're making this for you guys. We're not making this just for ourselves, but it comes from a lot of passion. We're not going to give up on you. We're not going to quit on you. Everything that we're doing is simply to keep this franchise alive. Just like Vinny did, just like all these other people that are making films, we're doing this for you guys. And if you guys don't want it, that's fine. But we're going to do it anyway. So that's how it works.
That's the spirit.
And I think that's the biggest thing, is know that we love it just as much as you guys. We're as detail-oriented as you guys are. I mean, you guys pause kills to see if something happened, and you're like, wait, I saw that kill, let me pause that. I mean, we're kind of dorky about that kind of stuff too. So everything that Mythos is, it's just a continuation of Part 6. It's an homage, if you will, to Part 6. And it's an homage to our fans and our friends and our family. Everybody who loves horror, that's what we do. We love horror. And that's what we're going to keep doing, and I hope you like it. Watch the trailers if you don't believe me. If you don't see the fan love there, then I don't know what else to tell you.
Jason, any closing? Go ahead.
I think the same thing. Yeah, it's made by fans, with fans, and I think that the stuff that we haven't shown is what I'm most excited to show. The stuff that Jeremy sold me on, saying this is going to happen, and then we're going to look at this, and if we get funded, this happens, and then it's like all these things. It's like yes, oh my god, and I'm getting real. I get real excited about the stuff that you guys don't even know yet, and the stuff that we haven't even been able to shoot yet, and I mean the kills that are still yet to be shot, the rest of the story that we have to film still. Like that is just, I'm so stoked to do this, and then to have people, and like Jeremy says, if you don't want to watch or do it, fund it. We're going to do it anyway, and we'll make it for ourselves. I believe that happens. Everyone's going to watch it after it's out and say, "Oh my God, where was I? How could I? I wanted to be a part of this. I wish I could have my name on that. I wish I could have backed it, because it blew me away." And so I really think that just the level of passion, the level of detail. Yeah, I just think that there's a lot going into it that's really going to make it a wonderful, wonderful thing. We're not skimping anywhere. So,
and I've got soft hands.
Those soft hands.
Is that a perk? Is that a perk? Like you get it, and
That's definitely a perk.
You should come up with a perk called soft hands. You'll get your budgeting like that.
Oh, perk.
Well, I'm going to tell you what the biggest selling point of this movie is, and I know Brandon will agree with me, and that is the mere presence of Brandon Bugsy Wilson.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I agree.
Me too. That's why we made it.
Yeah.
That was a big
It's all about Bugsy.
No, but I definitely like to say the chemistry of the cast is superb. I mean, lots of fun on set. And I think as someone that's going to watch it is going to see that there's a lot of chemistry. It's just, it flows organically.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important, especially for a horror film.
Yeah, this is one of those few horror films that I felt like really the cast works well together. There wasn't any negativity or shittiness on set. Everybody was just happy to be there. Everybody had fun. And so when we got to some of the character stuff, when we were doing that, I mean, they were delivering solid stuff because they know each other at this point. They're friends.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you really feel that unity between the characters. That's a rarity. You get to find that with that many characters in a film.
Well, I think one of the biggest selling points too is just how talented everyone on that cast is. You know, that was one thing that I was immediately impressed with. I mean, Lex, you know, his lead actress,
Lex is amazing.
Yep, she's amazing. And you know, the other, you know, just watching them kind of get out there, and you know, I can totally back that up as a statement of like, I watched them out there and I watched them all click, and it was fun to watch them go back and forth, and they had a good rhythm, and that's, you know, that's always a good sign. And I would say that like another cool memory of it is like, I think the reason why everyone came together is like every night, because we were all staying at this campground, you know, we got around a campfire and just hung out. And like, it would be like 2 o'clock in the morning. We had to shoot the next day, and everybody's just staying up, hanging out, talking, telling stories, you know, and I think it went into that. And, you know, that's fan filmmaking. You know, if you want to get in, you want to do it, this is the stuff you want to support it for, because these are people who are going out for the love of it. You know, we're not getting a new movie anytime soon. So let's have the fans have some fun. You know what I mean? Like, we wait and we wait and we wait. Why do we have to wait? We can do whatever we want. And you know, that's just another big reason to support these guys, is that they're living the dream. You know, they get the big pain in the ass that's gonna kick them in the ass for the next however many months until it's out, but they're gonna love it. It's like having a kid, you know what I mean? It's like a lot of bumps and bruises, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be something that unites all these people together, and people who donate on Indiegogo are gonna be a part of that. You know, they're gonna see their name up there, and they're gonna be a part of something. And they're going to get cool stuff that, you know, their prizes are really good. I think that's a big thing about crowdfunding. You want to make sure that no matter what happens, somebody's walking away with a really cool t-shirt, and they definitely got that department. Cool poster. You know, the concept design is on point. You know, Jeremy's a brilliant photographer. So a lot of stuff that like he's been able to whip up through that work that he's done. So, you know, you're getting quality materials from these guys. You're getting a quality movie. It's worth backing.
And if you guys are in Arizona this weekend, then you're going to be at Mad Monster Party, right? Or is it in
Mad
Phoenix?
Monster? It's in Scottsdale.
Scottsdale. Okay. Lovely
Scottsdale, Arizona. Lovely. I'm sure it's like 1 billion degrees out there.
I'm sure.
I might be out there in my Chad shorts. Yeah, no, I'm not there in any official capacity. I'm just going to be visiting. Tom Matthews will be there. Kane Hodder will be there. Larry Zerner will be there. There's a Friday the 13th game panel. Kane Hodder is taking photos in the game outfit. He's going to be retro Jason from the game, doing photos with people. I think Robert Englund's going to be there too. So it's a good weekend.
That'll be a big show. That'll be a busy show.
Yeah, I'll be there Friday the 13th. So I'm actually driving out to Arizona tomorrow, and then I'll be there Friday the 13th, and sometime in the morning I'm going to have some posts coming out that day for Never Hike Alone. We got some fun surprises for everybody, and then at about I think 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we're going to be doing a stream out of the Deborah Voorhees Shear podcast, not podcast, but horror page on Facebook. We're doing a very special screening of Never Hike Alone, of a new export of the film.
Oh, cool! That'll be really cool. Yeah,
no sequel stuff. I don't want to get anything out. There's no sequel stuff. We don't have that type of money yet. But it's a fun thing that we did. I think fans are going to appreciate it. Fans who have seen Never Hike Alone will get a new way to kind of watch it. And we're excited to show that, along with a few other surprises. Anyone who's going to be at Mad Monster, we're going to have one little surprise for you. So if you're there, you're going to want to get to Tom Matthews' booth pretty early. Cool.
Everybody loves surprises. Surprises. So
I like pop those up every now and then.
All right. Well, again, guys, Indiegogo, Mythos on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, brownspacefilms.com. Go check them out. Check out the trailer and consider becoming a backer of Mythos, a Friday the 13th fan film, and follow them on social media to stay abreast of everything that's happening in the world of Mythos. So I want to give a huge thanks to everybody who joined me tonight. Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thank you so much, Jason. Vin, always a pleasure talking to you, sir. Big thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you guys as always. And yeah, until next time, you guys have a great one. Have a safe, happy, very safe, and happy Friday the 13th. And until next time, peace.
Bye.
Happy birthday.